Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Is critical race theory more dangerous than these guys? Some of you may be even saying, who are these guys? And I'm definitely going to explain it. But before I do, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. It's kind of, I'm amazed when, and again, I'm speaking from a Christian perspective. I'm not speaking from a culture perspective. But in order to understand race issues, you have to understand the culture, because the church mirrors the culture when it comes to race in every way. They did it in slavery. They did it in Jim Crow. And now, with the new boogeyman, critical race theory, social justice, they're doing the same thing, using the same tactics. The new boogeyman that Christians have latched onto, which the culture have latched onto, they can't even define it. If you ask a person, what is critical race theory? What is social justice? And then, how about this? Tell me how they are wrong. Now, let me just say this. I'm not here as an apologist for either ideologies. My point here is how Christians have latched on and have said things like this is the most evil, the most dangerous controversy within 100 years. John MacArthur said that. Yet, at the same time, and there are a lot of Christians, if I will pull up their pictures, of course, if you just Google, not only Google, but go on YouTube and just, see all of the Christians who are now really denouncing critical race theory. And what I'm going to say to you is that critical race theory is not a problem in the church. Critical race theory is not the evil that they painted out to be. Critical race theory is a academic that is taught on universities. Now, the reason why I say, and again, I'm not saying I agree as a Christian with all of the tenets of critical race theory. Most of what you hear is that people are saying is critical race theory. It's not critical race theory. If you have teachers and pastors in churches and schools, denouncing their whiteness and all that kind of stuff, that's not critical race theory. But what is interesting to me, that in and of itself is still not the evil. For example, if I come up to you and say, I just denounced my blackness, in and of itself, that's not the evil. But when you look at this picture here, these men, and I'm going to explain them. There's three pictures here that I'm going to explain that has done more damage to Christianity. Now, remember, John MacArthur said that social justice has done more damage. It is the most dangerous thing in 100 years. Well, I'm sorry. Did he compare it with these individuals? The first guy to the right is Jerry Falwell. He was a leader. He started the Moral Majority, and he started Liberty University. If you want to look at where Liberty University is today, Trump frequent that because his son, Jerry Falwell Jr., made the school get behind and chant Trump's praises. We later found out Jerry Falwell Jr. was being blackmailed, that he had some very freaky stuff going on in his personal life. We're not going to get into that. But Jerry Falwell once said that this is in the 50s, that those who were fighting against integration, the integration of schools, was fighting against the very will of God. Now, mind you, this man had the church, a mega church. By the way, he's a Southern Baptist, no surprise there. He has a mega church, and he also has Liberty Temple. Liberty Temple, again, exists to this very day. Now, the picture in the middle of the ladies there, they are the daughters of the Confederacy. And a couple of decades after the Civil War, they formed, and they are personally responsible for the monuments, some 1,700 monuments across the South in this nation. That's the fruits of their labor. More than that, they also shaped in how public schools, now get this, are taught, or I should say, not taught, about slavery. Okay? So think about that. Textbooks. Now the picture on the left, Bob Jones Sr. Now he is one of the premier at the time fundamentalists. He started Bob Jones University. It is now in Asheville, South Carolina, still going today. He had though he wasn't, I don't believe, a Southern Baptist, he certainly might have been. But in the early days of his school, from the founding of his school, which I believe is in the 1920s, all the way up until 1971, he staunchly said, no blacks, no integration. Now, if I want to be a little fair, according to them, the controversy started over Asians coming, but it certainly turned its fury towards blacks. No blacks. Okay? No blacks. And the reason why they stopped that is because they had a long battle with the government, who eventually snatched away their tax-exempt status. Oh, by the way, you should know that with Bob Jones University, the formation of the Christian right was not over abortion, but over standing with Bob Jones University's right to discriminate against their own black brother and black brothers and sisters in the Lord. And ultimately, in 1971, they lifted the ban. They said, okay, we'll let black people in, but you can't interdate. In other words, you got kicked out of school if you interracially dated. That ban went on to 2000, when finally they said, you know what, we want to be politically active, and they lifted that ban. Now in 2007 they repented. I'm not for sure how Jerry Falwell repented, if he repented of his racist past. Bob Jones University did issue a formal statement on race, one of the most excellent ones I've seen, to rectify and say, look, we were wrong. But the damage is still done, and that's my point. The damage is still done. If you're going to tell me that critical race theory, which you can't even define, which you never talk about how it has impacted, these things impacted the minds, see, of white Christians. They impacted the mind of evangelical Christianity. That's the problem. Now we see the rhetoric, that CRT, that's not even taught in most churches. Remember, Jerry Falwell, Bob Jones University, they train people. They're all up in Christianity. So who's more dangerous? And how come you're not talking about that? All right, guys, that is my perspective. Don't forget to like and share this video. And subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.